The Knights versus the Spartans. I feel like this is a historical fight. So we're going to drop right into that quarterfinal. It's Lotus time. So let's get some agency on lock and on the docket. And Vise, typical pick here. And I think the only thing that stands out to me is maybe a bit old head is the chamber that just got locked in.
Yeah, that is a little bit of a throwback for sure. However, for people who have been tuning into the action throughout the course of the day, can't be surprised to see how to name pulling out the chamber. Feels like they've been the one who has really kind of had the resurgence here. I was joking with Llama early, definitely felt very circa. I couldn't figure out if it was 2022, 2021, which one it was. Regardless, though, has definitely been holding it down for the pound. So Francis Howell Central will be starting onto that attacking side here on Lotus. And Lotus is interesting. We saw it earlier in a double block where both of our maps going on at the same time. We're playing Lotus. Of course, one of the, I can't say the newest map points or 3-point maps, but it is still one that I feel like doesn't necessarily get enough love. So I'm excited to see how things break down here as we move into our quarterfinal action.
I think it really does kind of, it depends on the staple that you're kind of going to. On the collegiate side, it sees a ton of love. On the pro side, it depends because they love their hard rotations and their hard, basically like one of their main agency compositions to walk in with it. Chamber, by the way, was released in November of 2021. So you knew. And it's a matter of, can you own that waterfall position side? We will not get to see that for a little bit because Francis Howell Central will be walking into attack. So we'll see how they walk with this default. Now, when you look at Lotus, it's about doing exactly what you're seeing a lot on C Mound and trying to narrow down the pathways that this Bishop Kelly squad can be able to take.
Get down to it here as we do see a firm push down this A alongside the wall. However, will separate that lone gunman who pushed just a tad bit too far center, though. Able to stay alive now, looking to try and buy a little bit of space onto A as everybody starts converging that way. Procrastinator shoots off a couple of shots. Not going to be able to find anything as far as any early picks. Some damages, sure, but it'll be a full 5 spot. Down.
Oh, and the Vise diffing begins. Showtime takes out Senna from right around the corner, but we go straight into some isolated fights at every single point. 3v2, and there's really no time left for anyone, especially Bishop Kelly, to try and get this retake. Nice flashpoint. Bakery catches them in the oven. They make him a crispy loaf as they'll take this one as the final man standing. Bishop Kelly, the Knights, the first on the board.
Biz was able to find 4 as the 5th one ended up being just a little too
smash in the front door while you sneak in the back. It's a good plan.
We're gonna walk away and help wrap up that first round. We talked a lot earlier on the day, Monkey Man. I'm sure you know. I know you've casted enough for VALORANT as well. You know, once you win the pistol, you should very well quickly be able to take that second round. We've seen it go the opposite a few times, but for Bishop Kelly, who has seen a couple of close matchups, they understand how those pistol rounds can make the difference. So I'm sure looking to compound down and double down their lead here.
And especially onto Lotus. Lotus, you know, as one of our only 2-3-side maps, there's a lot of numbers in a row. Sorry about that. But whenever you have to do that, especially as the weaker buy into an attack spot, you're basically going into the funnel. And there's a lot of damage that could be sprayed at you. They're going to have a one-way here to the C-mount position, and I think that this is going to be challenged, if anything, to try and make this at least known numbers instead of unknown corners to have to check for both B and A. Now, you do have your chamber way deep onto that rubble position. A light spray just to keep them honest. But so far, looks like that we may end up, from this default, walking into the short side here in the middle of the map.
And they've at least gotten a little bit of space here. Tater Clan leading the way as far as that goes. Haven't fully pushed and committed onto that B site as of yet. So still with 10 players all the way around. There it is. The wall will indeed go up. Name is able to beat that one. Tater Clan finds one, make it 2. Popping heads and stacking bread here is Tater Clan trying to take up the space in the middle of B.
Tater Clan adding some chili to the top of that tater. Trying to escape, walk away with a weapon, and they do so. Wow, okay, there's going to be one extra to pick up as well. They're going to toss one to a teammate, maybe just keep right-clicking. And been a fiend with it so far. A plant and some kills, and having the 2-man advantage Francis Howell, this is a team that you're going to be watching because they have a possible collision course for going deep in this bracket.
10
And split
seconds
the
left.
difference of these first 2 rounds, especially in the lesser buy, is a really impressive note.
Do remember that Francis Howell was the one who was able to pull off the upset in their final round of the group stage, taking down the #1 seed in Group A, actually #2 seed, overall Centerville. Option to chance to be able to do the same here. In the starting round of our playoff bracket, Viz gets 1, not able to use that tailwind to fall back and get that second shot.
Last player
2v2, Azen will be put down by the headhunter. They get 2 as Francis Howell Central ties things up at 1.
The most expensive golden bullets in the game. And yet, both of them pay off as they land on the mark, pressuring them off corner with that aftershock. And Francis Howell creating reverberations of a unified shock ripple through these first couple, as that's an eco break. Second time that we've seen that today. Bishop Kelly will be falling into the eco. Francis Howell will be keeping themselves spicy with maybe just a little bit of extra creds. And they have the ability to really kind of jump ahead. This does feel like it's going to be a scrappy fight, though, depending on the response that we get on this defensive side.
Let's go ahead and move into round #3. This time around, Howden and Nate, just like they did at round #2, will send a little bit of distraction over here at Rubble. Meanwhile, the other 4 players for Francis Howell Central will look to approach over on B. Viz with a quick push on through. Will be a sense of when can the rest of the team follow up with them. Bakery's going to try and at least apply a little bit of pressure. Does push Viz into that upper platform. Spike's going to go down, and again, looking at a full 5v5 retake.
Oh, but neither of these blinds are going to hit the right person. You're going to have Visitors off to the side. A Bucky that will be forcing Procrastinator to sit in the corner. And that's a couple of trades quickly going the way of Sparty. So as you got Viz just kind of waiting out against Showtime, one single classic, they might be able to get to that Bucky. A little bit of a weird buy. There's not too much they can do with this one. Good note would be to simply wait for the bomb to go off, die with it, see if they can get some damage, a rebuy of a shield here and there. They got at least 1 Bucky. They don't have a target to bring it to, and that's how to name. But again, stays alive through the first or last couple of rounds, and that'll put the Spartans ahead.
Showtime turns the corner, has a Bucky in hand, and tries and fire it all the way across the room. I don't think that one's going to work out there, but hey, if it's what's in your hand, I guess you might as well at least pop off once. But we'll be back-to-back rounds here for Francis Howell Central, and now's that point where I think a lot of people consider the real game of Valorant starting here in our first round, where more rifles will come into play on both sides of offense and defense. For Bishop Kelly and other matchups, especially looking back into that group stage of the day, felt like that was when Bishop Kelly was really able to up the pace, especially up their aggression. Let's see if they can do the same thing here in round 4 on defense.
I like the positioning right now for Cold onto that Omen, because they're going to rip the Paranoia and they're going to stun them down. They're going to get some at least spray damage from through this double stack box. Bakery cannot back up fast enough, and the attackers will be able to find themselves in a good position. Off the operator, Procrastinator has to find at least the tiniest narrow crack of space from this. But you get the Steel Guard, and they want to just take over the site.
Dives around, Poe goes for the quick scope. Procrastinator says, all I need is my classic. Hold that for me, please.
Last player standing.
Isn't going to be able to find 2
One
here as
enemy
well.
remaining.
Bishop Kelly left down into a 1v1 Procrastinator versus Tater Clan. The Paranoia will be able to find its mark. Tater then able to draw their mark, aims down sight, puts Procrastinator down, and that's 3 rounds in a row for Francis Howell Central.
Good looking for this attack. That it looked like they had a good cross between the two for Bishop Kelly, but just weren't able to make great use off of those kind of wider lane AoEs from the Paranoia and the fault line. They have to play to that tight angle, and Francis Howell Central knew that there was some protection for underneath the balcony of that top side of C. So job well done to not panic, especially when caught between the 2 collision course of thereof. So we got the bonus walking with this one, Q, because they've been able to pick up the weapons from that second round. They haven't looked back.
I mean, once they started getting something other than pistols in their hands, they've been playing at a different speed here. It's going to be now a full set over towards C itself. You had mentioned how mountains can be a fun place to see those first engagements. Going a quick hit through the door, and they're pushing over towards B. However, this has been read by the defense. Bishop Kelly, pretty much everybody here.
Oh, the tip of the gun barrel. Bakery's able to see Viz just through. They're going to use that aftershock as well, just to create a little bit of space. It's down to a 2v4. Numbers in plurality here for at least the Knights for the moment, but they got How to Name that has been very quick to be able to make some of these quick rotations. They catch them with the nightfall falling down. They'll be marked, they'll be decayed, and they'll be off site.
How to Name still at least alive, which is the important thing.
Last
that
player
HP
standing.
will come
One
back.
enemy
How to
remaining.
Name
Spike
has been
down,
able to
B.
find three,
Thrifty.
turns the corner, not going to be able to find Azen. A Thrifty here for Bishop Kelly. Only one rifle will be carried over into round 6, however.
Just getting that, no plant op either. They were playing completely like symbiotic to the site, not knowing exactly when and where they're gonna go. But Bishop Kelly just kind of played it to pure default, looking for where Francis Howell Central was gonna try and navigate to. It kind of became their own worst enemy. You're gonna see this 4-1 split. They've been putting How to Name into this A lane whenever they want to at least assure a rotation. They've done that a couple times.
You want to play?
I wonder
Let's
if
play.
they'll find some early value from this. They have the full Viz setup, and he's going to be sniping because that Tour de Force just got popped.
Worried about that free
Adapt
on.
or die!
But you know what I mean? Not going to be coming into play. We have been seeing that Tour de Force putting in quite a bit of damage thus far on the day. Hopefully, you're going to be able to carry over that same success here in the playoffs. And this is a spike that will be going down over here at C.
Spike
Interesting
planted.
to see how comfortable Francis Howell is playing the full 5v5.
And then especially with the Rolling Thunder coming through, everyone's going to be popped up where they know that the Razor Thorn is going to protect them, but still they're able to shoot from just underneath that middle of sight. Hold will be holding it off, but Procrastinator
enemy
begins to
remaining.
find some targets. He
Last
finds 3
player
of them.
standing.
A 1v1. Procrast falls out,
No more
and
distractions.
Eisen simply had to play patient. Senna couldn't play the cat and mouse game for too much
button.
longer. We
Save
are
the day.
all knotted up through the first half of the first half.
Always important to realize, though, this time
I
around, it
opened
wasn't
their
a
minds.
thrifty
Find
round. It's,
the
everybody
weakness.
was invested, so to only be able to carry over one rifle, it means it was quite a costly round. Hey, a win's a win, I suppose, but when you talk about looking to build that economy, one rifle around really ain't gonna cut it, especially in a matchup that does seem so back and forth. It does look like Tater Clan opting to take a timeout here. Not gonna lie, feels a little preemptive. Understandable for Francis Howell Central, who probably is more trying to take control of things here early, but we know that they can go toe-to-toe with the best. They took down Centerville earlier, but while we are tied up at 3s here in this matchup, we do still have one other matchup going on currently here in our quarterfinals over on Ascent. It's Cedar Rapids Kennedy versus Gretna. Let's go ahead and take our first peek in, as actually we're just wrapping up the agent select.
All right, hey, that's a good place to start with. So we get to see if any kind of wrinkles were formed, and really the main ones that pop up, you've got that Clove and a KO together in lieu of kind of your regular regenerating Omen for some of those better smokes, and then the Cypher opposite of Killjoy with that Reyna kill power coming out of the Gretna Dragons. So we'll see how much flavor comes from that, if it's going to lean a lot more into that Jet. So you got some extra info, like almost kind of a ton of info that Cedar Rapids Kennedy is able to find from this one. But Gretna is going to go maybe for pure killing power out of that gruesome twosome off of that pair of duelists.
I'm going to be intrigued to see how this one plays out with the difference in the composition for sure. I do got to say, when we look at the names of our players, Cedar Rapids Kennedy has LeBron James, which I feel like is either one of those, you're either cheering for him or against him. Probably count me in the latter of the two, but you know what?
Spike
3
down,
frags in a
mid.
row here for Cedar Rapids Kennedy. Has them up 3 versus 2. Let's make it now a
I got the
2v2
spike.
here in the middle of our first round.
Very scrappy mid assertion as they play around that fountain. They're going to try and use that metal, but it's going to be united under one. Oh, actually, no, it's going to be off of the fragment. They will dodge away from some of that extra damage. And again, just like we were talking about, sometimes you're like, just click the button, click it right there. They have no idea that is where they're navigating right under that ruse. But this is going to give some information regardless if they can get this kill from this Classic. They see them running right over towards B main, and that's where they'll reconvene.
Careful
It'll
now.
be a full sprint here now for Cedar Rapids. Kennedy not wanting to allow too much time after the plant goes down. How does that happen? Gonna have to break down
Spike
the door. That does
planted.
allow just enough time for the spike to get planted, and both players, no, actually just one, will sit back in that boathouse. United under one will push forward just a little bit to take cross angles on the hold.
I was thinking they'd
enemy
seen him.
remaining.
Bad kid, they got the cross, and he's gonna cross him up. X marks the spot, and that's where both those players end up falling right under Bad Kid's sight lines. So, to survive, and this pistol first going over to the Cougs out of CRK. Cedar Rapids Kennedy. Great kind of turnabout after what was a very feisty and fast beginning of this round. Became much more methodical late term.
I always feel like those more scrappy pistol rounds feel a little bit more rewarding to be able to walk away with the dub scheme. Don't get me wrong, like a round on the board is a round on the board. You know, I'll take a clean ace, I guess, but at some point you're gonna start changing out those weapons, so it doesn't matter if you save or not, or if you're able to like bring over that extra pistol, you know what I'm saying, at the end of the pistol round. But those scrappy rounds, especially to start off a game like this and what you anticipate should be a back and forth affair between Gretna and Cedar Rapids Kennedy, has to have CRK feeling spicy.
Oh, trying to be able to at least put out some early damage. Oh my goodness, they were tracked down. Unlucky using the tailwind to be able to track Torum all the way upfield. So, again, we've seen first round buys, or second round buys, just turn sideways. The defense is showing up
Spike
this
down
time.
A.
The kill switch turned on to 11, and that's going to be Cedar Rapids Kennedy getting a couple quickly.
What do you mean SMGs are for the short range? Just spray in a little bit and tap that thing at the distance. Well, it's going to allow you to continue forward. Does look like we're going to have a quick pause here over on this map. So you know what? Let's go ahead and while they have their pause here, let's switch back on over to Bishop Kelly and Francis Howell Central. It was tied at 3 apiece when we left. Looks like Bishop Kelly has won 2 rounds in a row. One more at least guarantees them a share of the lead at half.
Gotta wonder where the eco stands with this one, because last time that we left them, I think it had gone dead even to that mark, at least in terms of the handoff. So feels like if there was an eco held by Francis Howell and maybe they picked it up, and they might be on the other side of a bad one, but they do have at least some rifles. So maybe this is going to be a kind of a better rifle round. They've switched up where that double sentee is walking to. They have their eyes going into that A lane. They go straight into the pit of misery and razor thorns. This is exactly what my grandma's garden looked like for a while until I started helping her out. Bakery wants to be able to make an early swing, and they can barely kill a Tater.
That's one. He has slowed down his approach just a little bit, allows the rest of the rotation to come on in, but Viz and How to Name will both be able to find one to their names. It's a 3v3 spike. First round's gonna get faked. Viz now gonna get pushed off this plant here as well, but Viz just says, you know what, that's fine. I'll move it on over here. No, actually they re-line up for the same
Spike
corner. They're
planted.
showing quite a bit of patience over on that Bishop Kelly.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe they would be walking a little bit faster. They're going to use that nightfall. There's a lot of decay. They're not going to be able to hear them coming, so they can just walk through the water, basically free as a bird, eventually knocking everyone down. And Bishop Kelly, these Knights, they knew that they could get loud from the water. That's one of those key things. You got to keep that sightline ready to go, and they just bamboozled and bulldozed through.
Mistake me if I'm wrong. Francis Howell did jump out to a 3-1 lead, if I'm not mistaken. So if my math serves me right, well, I grew up just on the other side of the river from Francis Howell Central, so forgive me if I'm wrong. But I do believe that means 5 in a row here from Bishop Kelly. Well, it seems like they've got a little bit of traction, a little bit of momentum, and you and I know just how dangerous very great players like, well, all of the state champions from all 8 of these teams, and how dangerous they can be when momentum's on their side.
Especially with some good old indie magic that's happening right now. You're getting it from the Pacers, you're getting it from Bishop Kelly. Everyone's showing up the ball right now. We've gone through 9 rounds. This is happening. going forward. Bakery's going to try and get frisky immediately. We haven't seen them press up from that shear, so they're changing up the pace. Right-click them demon style. They're going to try and use that steel garden again to allow themselves to move forward. That means they got Bakery trapped with just a sidearm off to the side. They don't have that spike down as of yet. They know they have time to kind of play with the procrastinator. Just looking for a second turn. Did immediately Prowler a little tattletale on him. And he gets him on the shorty, a 3K and a quick one at that.
Well, yet another round on the board, and I think what's been more impressive has been the fact that these rounds have been kind of like that last one where you're saving 3-4 players still up. Money in the bank over on that Bishop Kelly side as they just continue to cruise.
Through these first 10, ultimate side, you got a little information that's going to get picked up by Francis Howell. Their early game was great. Since then, Bishop Kelly has been very mentally locked in. You've got another steel garden that has been aplenty between both these sides. I mean, you got to advise on both ends. And some solid information that comes from the dimensional drift. So as they walk into this eco, get to see how this kind of rolls about. And they can play basically full default to see if anyone kind of overcommits. What do they even find for this B position? They're maybe going to see their fade walking out to secret, and they've really not had to worry about kind of this box opener. They've not really tested A too many times.
Haven't just quite yet, and it's a slow approach here in round number 11. A's and C's Tater, they're both peeking back and forth. A's and finds the heady, as does Bakery. All of a sudden, Francis Howell Central. Where are they going to go with this thing? Procrastinator finds 2, Holt finds the last, and they're already up to 8 over on that
last
Bishop Kelly side.
round in the half.
Still have so many ultimates that can get used, and Francis Howell knew they were kind of biding their time through that eco to get eventually to their chambers tour de force. So they're going to have something to challenge maybe these longer lanes. There's not been a lot of early poke out, especially from C. You see how they re-navigate that. They brought over their breach. He's been on that waterfall traversal, that patrol. Same thing along with their Omen. They've been really kind of keeping them guessing. So they want to test C one more time, see what's going to come about from it. They do also have that trademark holding out B, but it's just been very disciplined so far from out of Bishop Kelly to not overcommit.
They're doing a great job of meeting with enough resistance without over-pushing. Bakery there finds 2, and then peeks away to force the aggression on through. Viz will be able to find the one Procrastinator, getting plenty of information here in the dimensional drift. And they make the play on the backside. Back in they go. Flash comes down here, at least they're able to find one.
Last player standing.
Good old roundabout flash. Hit it to the floor, hit it to a wall, hit it to a surface. Doesn't matter. Fade away by Showtime. We'll fade away from that one and into our other quarterfinal as they flip halves and we flip right back into Cedar Rapids Kennedy versus Gretna.
Yeah.
And we go what? It was a 2-0 at one point by the Cougs. Dragons seem to have grabbed one as we walk into round number 4.
They got the one that was important. That is when rifles come back into play. Last thing you want in that position if you are Gretna is to very quickly have your econ broken. So they'll still have those rifles in hand heading into round number 4. The question now becomes with the rifles in Cedar Rapids' hands, can they continue back in their winning ways? They've been meeting up with quite a bit of resistance over on the defensive side. Looks like they'll at least make a little bit of noise towards A, but looking to pivot through tree for a full access onto the site.
Gretna wants to be able to make it real fast. As soon as the last pop of that fragment goes through, oh, you better be ready for it. Unlucky not to get the trade. Bob Villain's able to find a couple though.
One enemy remaining.
They're able to get all that tree
Spike
action.
down
Because of 1 versus 1.
Last player standing.
If you really want to make this happen, you can pop the Empress early, but LeBron James is going to try and shoot from distance. Right around this corner, they expect him to be up in heaven. Find him on the box. LeBron trying to throw it. Can't be able to make it. They take down. Oh, my Lord. They get rid of the Dragons. Going slaying to make it 3-1.
You know how I know this is an imposter LeBron James? This LeBron here was actually clutch. Oh, God. My goodness gracious. 3-1 here for Cedar Rapids Kennedy as they are able to get back to their winning ways now that they do have the rifles in hand. Gretna has to try and find some way to start building up some economy on their side. Otherwise, 3 could very quickly turn into 5 or 6, especially since against the Cedar Rapids team that, despite the fact it's sitting in the 3 seed,
Get out
did
of my
go
way.
2-1 during their group stage. They're a team that we know likes to push the pace. They're a team that definitely has the ability to catch fire if you let them.
Let's see if Unlucky, who definitely caught at least a great went over the tree, is able to make some great work out of this Blade Storm. Empress popping, that's out in Pizza. No, apologies. That's going to be over towards top side of Catwalk. So they'll be following that same kind of pathway. Some infiltration over into mid, kind of untested, at least to this mark. You're going to have LeBron James put down at least one smoke. Ooh, they got to see the Blade Storm for all of a moment. Keep it crispy, keep it quick on their feet, and they get Unlucky to use every knife.
Lucky game as you're not able to find any there. LeBron James actually falls back with full health. And with that 125, including that regen shield, will pivot over towards B, where the full squad from Gretna will take access on the site. Nante will be able to find the heady. Clarence is now going to try and quickly push with the rest of the squad as the spike goes down and we see Gretna get set up on site.
I like this positioning too. You got all 5 alive first up, but you have
Spike
one that's going to be
planted.
hanging out in main. That is a tough position to have to deal with, especially because you got the cross that goes to that boardwalk.
Player standing.
Trying to get one. Outlaw on the swing. Clarence finds a couple as a consolation prize, but Gretna aims to even the odds. 3 surviving, going to that 6th pivotal round.
Where things do continue to get interesting. Gretna will not allow Cedar Rapids Kennedy to build too big of a lead. We saw them be able to pull things in as far as 1 in round 3. They continue to move forward. It's 11-3 in that other matchup as we have seen Bishop Kelly continue to pull away from Francis Howell Central. We'll keep an update on that score for you guys, but as for now, we'll stay on board here.
Give a lot of love over to them. We had a pause on this one. I know a lot of you are very passionate, so why not give a front row seat over to this? You're going to see the Clove go down. They've been kind of that pizza patroller. So now free slices for everyone if you can make it that far up in deep mid, and it's going to weaken at least the split defense here for the Cougars. Dragons found some value early on. Bad Kids playing around from this corner. Senti v Senti lurk play, by the way. Neither one able to finish the job.
Both go their separate ways as well. For Cedar Rapids. Well, they're going to continue to fall. A great lurk play there from Unknown Gamer. Bob
player
Villain
standing.
trying to spray their way in from tree will get put down as well. That means it's all going to be left to the lone Cypher, rotating their way over from B. Bad Kid needs to pull off a miracle in a 1v4.
This is a save to me, but high schoolers never save. It's just not in their DNA. Oh, seeing all of one. Can't quite shoot that gun barrel. They'll pop up. In fact, they're going to receive a bullet straight to the old hat as Unlucky tags them out. And we're as even as we were in the first 3 on the other side of things, but that one's been sprinting away.
Yeah, we've seen a big separation from Bishop Kelly once they did hit that 3 points. So let's see if Cedar Rapids has the ability to do the same here with Gretna. Of course, Gretna in their own right, they've shown, especially during that group stage, they were able to put up quite the bit of the fight, even in the matchups that they didn't necessarily walk away with a dub in. But Gretna did take down that Bishop Kelly squad that is over the Green Dominates. Don't count them out yet.
Got at least
One
one.
enemy
Villain's going to
remains.
try and get aggressive.
Flawless.
Everyone finding themselves a target. A flawless round as fast as you could want it. So we go out into mid, and no one came back.
Bishop continues fighting over on the other screen. So you know what? While this is close here, I kind of want to see if Bishop has the ability to close things down in these last rounds. I don't know about G-Monkey, man. For me, there's something about being able to see those final ends to the game. So let's go and send it on over.
Hit it.
Back to Lotus here. And let's see if they can hold it down. They're on the offensive side, looking to make a push over towards C, holding it down at Mounds.
Trying to hold off the inevitability, some might think. Francis
Right there.
Howell they have a chance to maybe bring this one back. Lotus is very flippy. You're able to make that happen. I've seen 10-2s go crazy on this map in particular. You're gonna have Tater Clan that's gonna try and back their way up, see if they can wade out this, but they have no one to combine with. You're gonna have both the Razor Thorns denying at least the immediate push.
30 seconds
But
left.
Cole just TPs to sight. He's like, nah, you're not gonna stop this. This is immediately going down.
5-5 here on the retake. Cold will fall back and into the low ground as you have players all approaching here. Back in that C hall. Trying to make their way onto site. How to Name's going to be able to open things up with the first one. Senna looking towards Mount, spraying. Going to be able to find one, but it's only one. Azen has found two. How to Name, one of the last two players left alive. Bakery
One enemy
looking
remaining.
around the corner.
Right there.
It's How to Name. All up to them. Not going to be able to stand the test, and it's going to be map point here for Bishop Kelly.
Rolling Thunder unlocked.
Match point.
That's going to be possibly one that they have to utilize to take out the tour de force on a defensive stand as well against Francis Howell. And Francis Howell Central's Spartans got a lot of work to do. 12-4, it's a little bit more feasible than that 12-1 sphere, but still, that's 8 rounds. Luckily for them, I've seen something similar done on the pro side of this just today. An 11-4 conversations, but Bishop Kelly looks like they're trying to end this one and move on to the semis.
I feel like if you're usually trying to surmount the comeback, though, you would prefer to be on the offensive side. There's just something about those 3-site maps that tends to give a lot of squads, in particular the Scholastic level, quite a bit of issues here. Now with Showtime finding that
They found my
opening tick
trap.
as well, it is going to give the green light to the rest of the squad to push here onto C. You got the Yoru and the Dimensional Drift trying to push forward and
Spike
as much
planted.
information as possible. They know that everyone's back towards spawn. Spike goes down and they're on the clock.
So much to do
Chemicals
and
ready.
not a lot of time to do it. How to Name with his biggest goldenest gun. They don't see anyone at that top pillar. Oh, they finally saw the elbow. They're gonna try and snap a shot that way, but Procrastinator already gets rid of Viz. Mia's trying to get at least all the way back through. It's gonna be at least one big
enemy
flash.
remaining.
You have just one man standing. It's a sweep versus the world, and it's just not gonna stand the test of
Attackers
time. A
win.
flawless to finish it. Bishop Kelly. They'll be moving on, and we move on as well to our final quarterfinals still in progress. It's 5-4 in round number 10.
You should
3
run.
tickets have been punched into the final 4. One more left to go, and thus far, this matchup here has continued to be back and forth. The lockdown. Tactical keeps the defense at bay, but they spray and pray.
One
They
enemy
find
remaining.
3. LeBron James gonna be able to find a 4th as well. Leaves the Omen all by themselves. Unknown Gamer back in Boathouse. Clarence puts them down. Flawless round for Cedar Rapids Kennedy.
I'd say check the PC, but these kids are making it look like they're just running on 9800 X3Ds and 5090s. Just such great use of information. You've got the scan that comes out of the dart. You've got some great cam work from your Cypher, and then of course just the great shutdown that really comes from having all of that extra info here for CRK. Cedar Rapids Kennedy is really trying to run it down for the end of this first half. Gretna Dragons, they do have an Empress. They've got the Blaze Storm. Gotta wonder if that might get popped, but no, they've at least got enough in the arsenal to work with here for this medium round. I want to get caught off guard, but they're playing a bit default, seeing what they can find, maybe where they got to pivot from.
See if Gretna can close this gap in their final 2 rounds over on the attacking half. The Night Owl will be able to find LeBron James tucked away, but LeBron James does have the cover of the smoke to be able to fall right on back and find their way to safety here as well. 4 players all together here for Gretna, 3 of which are actually looking to make the pivot through tree. Bad Kid should be able to call them out.
Cage triggered.
Rotate,
Cage
have to
triggered.
engage.
Playing from your own mid cyber cage.
My
They
eyes are
know
down.
that at least one is nearby. They don't know they're right behind them though.
Blocking sight.
Lucky finds Bad Kid.
Spike
Good
planted.
fortune finds them. Now it's going to be a 4v4 here for Cedar Rapids Kennedy to try and get this retake to work.
Trade off from Unlucky here, leaves it down to a 3v3, but 8
Enemy kill.
favoring Gretna just a little bit. And when Toro gonna be able to put a heady right down that easy, all of a sudden it turns the favors back just a little
One
bit.
enemy remaining.
Here for Cedar Rapids, with Clarence finding that one, make it 2. No one left around to stop the defuse. It's now 7. See if they can find 8 before half.
Clarence has
Last
been very
round
cool,
in
calm,
the
and
half.
collected. A nice computer/robot fiend brought to our universe and has been really putting curses onto the Gretna Dragons. So you got the null command to really shut down a rush job. You've also got the Hunter's Fury posts or pre-plant. Whatever the Dragons out of Gretna got to do, they got to do it big because Nebraska. This is the battle of the cornfields right now between Iowa and Nebraska. And right now, Cedar Rapids Kennedy is looking like they're coming in with a bigger harvest.
Top. Who got the pickings? The pickings good. Gretna opens things up, but unlucky very quickly gets put down by Clarence. They're trying to make their way through the doorway and on to B, but they get denied. It's going to be a quick pivot towards mid, and now it looks like they'll make their way catwalk.
The null command was the go button for this pivot, and you already have Bad Kid on site. He's got his 2 tripwires. He's going to try and make the best use of them. Just walking through Neural Command. Even more information. They might be able to get a spam spray through this high wall. There's very, very little HP here on
Spike
George.
planted.
So he's just going to be hanging out in mid, maybe being bait for his 2 teammates, seeing they can get this to turn into a 7-5.
7-5 would definitely have you feeling good if you're Gretna, especially with the way things started. It is still going to be quite the task here. Tora, over from tree. The op in hand, turns the corner, but George quicker on the draw, puts Toro down. 3v3, Bad Kid
Player
gets put down
standing.
by Unknown Gamer.
One
Unknown
enemy
Gamer actually
remaining.
finds a pair. It's going to be them and Clarence left in a 1v1.
Oh, he TP'd out, but he's just, it's all of a decoy. So, defuse? Defuse?
Calling down.
Did they not think they didn't have enough time? What? I felt like
Switching sides.
It felt like they had time, right?
Yeah, I felt like there was plenty of time. What was that?
Have
Okay.
to see if that one comes back to bite them here later on, because I mean, 6-6 would have been a more favorable score, I do suppose. But hey, you know what? For the content, hand one over, 7-5, definitely manageable if you're Gretna. Gotta look forward, can't look back.
Well, see if maybe that was all of a, premature process. They thought maybe there was simply nothing. They just stood there and accepted their fate. Or maybe there was a miskey. We'll get to see. Either way, we're going to win a pistol here in the next half. Cedar Rapids Kennedy not in a bad position. In fact, they're aiming to make it kind of Big Ben and Mamma Jamma style to run against the Dragons into their defense. And I was wondering how this was going to hold because there is way more killing power here for Gretna. Way more resistance and information for Kennedy, and they're going to try and make the best use of that as they stream on a site.
This round is always fun to watch. It feels like it can turn so quick. Nucky to be able to find that opening pick, and that will back down the Cedar Rapids
Spike
squad.
down
They look to
mid.
push through tree. Unlucky will be able to find one, but it will be just the one.
Dylan waiting it out. They see the cowl. Shock dart might get used. They are able to jump peek and they stare straight into a Nunky. They have
One
someone up
enemy
on top
remaining.
box, and that's just going to be now a full barrage. Pushing up whenever you don't have your final teammate. They were hoping to be able to kind of isolate some of those sidelines, but this is kind of a lost cause. Scan will assure that they have to push up into this ruse, and United under one is going to be United and now done. So, so we go 3 surviving 8-5, and that's going to be a very good buy here into round number 2 of the second half.
Yeah, you would have really liked to be able to pick that one up if you are Gretna, right? I mean, when you're within 2, you win the pistol. Feels like all of a sudden you could be very well vying for that tie scoreline. Now all of a sudden, 8 could very well turn into 9, which is on the doorstep of double digits. So Gretna has to find a way to get the control of things here. We're heading very quickly towards those meat and potato rounds here. So let's go ahead and get down into it as Cedar Rapids looking to carry over this momentum in the second half.
Gretna doesn't play anything too flimsily. They don't want to have to deal with having a weird buy, kind of going to what, Stinger Light Shield. And that's an early kill from out of Clarence. That's a good first pick considering that their Reyna on the side of Gretna has been very dangerous. But getting rid of at least your Sentinel, or a Sentry Bot rather. George and the gang will just be holding on to B side, but I like this two-pronged attack. They're walking it into the alarm bot of Market, so they know they're going to be there, but you don't really have the weapons to respond.
They're going to push back and at least try and find any sort of resistance that they can. Unfortunately, though, Toro, Stinger compared to the Classic, well, you can understand how that one went the way that it did. United still holding down this corner, finds the camera. That'll at least make it a little bit easier to approach here, but when you're at the disadvantage, not just in numbers, but in artillery as well, it's quite the challenge here for Gretna.
Lucky hoping to land an immediate shot. They go dashing by, but that's Clarence that plays quick cleanup. Clarence looking for even more. Another, at least consolation here for Unknown Gamer. They will get flashed out, but the gang's all here from out of Cedar Rapids. Kennedy and the Cougars will absolutely pounce on the Dragons, but this is now going to be Gretna's turn. On that defensive half, they're going to find some extra weaponry, and Cedar Rapids is going to be on a very healthy bonus.
They will be on an extremely healthy bonus. They've got to be feeling good with the fact that they're now up by 4, heading into round 15. Gretna will finally have some rifles in hand, and let's see if they'll be able to make a little bit of a pivot here and close this gap. It definitely feels like they need to. The only problem is they are starting to run out of time, Monkey. If you drop this one, the economy gets broken, and you're in some real trouble. So I don't want to say it's now or never, but it feels like it's darn well close to it.
This is about one of the two steps of the now and or the never. And you do at least get a nice opening first pick. Turo just kind of trips on the battle bot. Oh, and then tossing your cyber cage while exposing your hat and face. Not exactly the plan that CRK wants to travel with. So Gretna finds a great moment here in round number 15. Unknown Gamer trying to add to that collection of success, and eventually they will deny the flawless. What can they do with the rest of it? Well, they're going to receive a nice big old bag of death, as that will be a grip from the other side. And so we go into our rifle round with Gretna standing pretty tall this time.
They look good, but they should in round 15 with the way that things had played out thus far in the second half. The big thing I'm looking for from Gretna is now piecing a couple of rounds together back to back to close this lead, because Cedar Rapids is on the verge of that tipping point you had mentioned earlier. And even though they did see Gretna win a very important round in round 15, Gretna nowhere near out of the woodwork yet. They gotta find a way to lock things down for another round or two.
Nunky, I think he heard the camera and believes that someone might actually be up in smoke, so he's going to hang on to wine. And if that goes unchecked, could have a real good potential moment to catch him off guard. Owl drone just see nothing. A few, landscape shots. Unknown Gamer. Oh, he gets seen in the corner. He'll TP away to safety from the paper thin from the walls here, all the way on Ascent. But that's Clarence and LeBron James. Getting the swarm as they try to take over Ace, an Unknown Gamer putting on resistance.
That's a 3K here, looking to try and turn around. Will get put down by Clarence, however. Cedar Rapids does have the man advantage. One last player lurking up in heaven as well. I don't think LeBron James had heard the footsteps just quite yet, but should be able to now have that information. Pushes through the glass, puts down United under 1, and that allows for Cedar Rapids Kennedy to move up the double digits.
It's the mental battle being won, especially when it was in a proper rifle round. Gretna, you had solid fighting coming out of their Omen, but otherwise that's about where the rest of that stood and then was sundered. Clarence, as long as they stand tall, this team does too, even if they can't quite defuse a bomb on the other side of things. So, doesn't matter. They did that one for content. They did it to make a greater challenge. 10-6. Gretna, that was previous by walking to another room. They should be able to have some level of weaponry in here, but they got to deal with the speed of this null command especially.
As well as have the recon bolt come out, so quite a bit of utility to get access of the site. Well, Cedar Rapids is going to be able to do just that. They're able to take down the Killjoy as well.
Spike planted.
They've got themselves a man advantage. They're going to put Gretna onto the clock as well as the spike goes down. Unlucky looking to shoot through the door. Looking to try and find some way somehow to get a little bit of space. And okay, we'll be able to put down that hit. A couple of picks though for Cedar Rapids Kennedy. 4 in a row. All the dominoes fall. And Cedar Rapids Kennedy up to 11.
2 rounds away from getting themselves a date with Bishop Kelly. Cougars versus Knights situation might be in the books, but the Dragons are going to take a timeout. They're going to cool some heads. They're going to cool the pace. They're going to talk about this one. You don't have a lot of ultimate to really work with. Doesn't really matter. You get your gunplay has kind of fallen by the wayside. Was that previous one a buy-in for them? Because that really could be kind of spelling or being chiseling in stone what Cedar Rapids Kennedy might need to do, especially if they come in with lesser weaponry here.
Trying to think about what we had seen weapons in hands, and it felt like they had rifles, right?
I think. Pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure they did, which means they're just trying to figure out how minimal they can buy into this next round and make sure they at least have enough on the plate for a full buy if they drop this one.
I mean, do you buy into loser creds? Do you kind of just play off angles? I gotta wonder what ends up kind of being into these pressurized moments, trying to make that top 4. It's a long road for anyone, especially from a group stage and knowing that you're kind of facing up against slightly higher seeds. Cedar Rapids Kennedy looks like they're, in a prime position to really just kind of run shop through the Dragons. But that's also what we play the game. See if anything crazy does come up, and maybe if a mental lapse occurs and allows Gretna to get back into it. It is round number 18. Gretna needs some kind of magic to happen.
See if Gretna can indeed make some magic happen, because it feels like it has to happen now. See, a little bit of information going to be given away, but George is going to stay put here at Tree. United under 1, also checking that middle lane, but not able to gather any information. A slower approach this time around from Cedar Rapids, but you see George expecting someone to turn the corner, but can't quite find theirs.
Tiny bit of damage, shoot straight into the Russian's overcoat, but Toro's going to get rid of Ananke, and now they're starting to drop a bit too rapidly. The one boon that you had if you're Gretna is that you're playing defense and they have to come to you, but they go the tree way and they come away from the expressway from heaven. Clarence finds Unknown Gamer, and it's a 1 versus 4. Bad Kid's going to hold off Tree. It's going to be United under 1. They have a Spectre. It looks like they did, in fact, have some extra creds to buy into this, but not exactly a full arsenal. They get 1. Toro drops. Heroes' moments have to be found with United.
Be the Magic Man in a 1v3. They are expecting to see United under 1 to be approaching from heaven, and slower kind of walk down was initially going to be to give a little bit of questioning, but firing from that top side, and then a Cam looking over at Glass here as well. There is no more guesswork. You can see LeBron James slowly walking things down up here, and Heather will push through the smoke, put down by United, but United running out of time will be forced to fall back and save this rifle as Cedar Rapids Kennedy puts themselves up on a match point.
Got some extra creds, confirm that kill. However,
match point.
Cougars out of Kennedy High are in a fantastic position to put the Dragons back into their lair, to slay them and spray them down. See if they can be able to simply walk into the quarterfinals, or rather the semifinals, against the Knights of Bishop Kelly. Got not a lot to work with, some information. Don't leave that from the shadows unused. Get at least an idea of where they're coming from, and then get back to your defensive position as necessary. But Cedar Rapids Kennedy, they got the extra man to play with, especially off of that Cloval.
Push across as far as on Catwalk will be slowed for only just a moment, but afterwards they will continue sending on down. George will fire off a bolt and then fall back to the door here over at Tree. Their location has been revealed. I'm kind of surprised that they haven't opted to put that door down. A couple of recon bolts and help from Unlucky will find that opening pick.
They actually tagged the Clove directly. They were running around, and then they were identifying their team for the squad. United gets 1. Then actually the defense is hitting 3. You've only got 2 remaining members here for Cedar Rapids Kennedy. They're both stuck in Catwalk into mid. So at this point, they want to cause a bit of eco damage if they can't get directly to site.
One enemy
They have a
remains.
slim pathway, but the chances of them being able to navigate to it are becoming just that. The unknown gamer finds themselves a headshot onto LeBron James. Gretna keeps themselves in it.
The question is, are you a little too far behind here? Because 5 more rounds is what it's going to take for Gretna if they are just solely going to want to force an overtime. And with the way that Cedar Rapids has been playing, we haven't seen them dropping multiple rounds in succession very often, even just throughout the course of the day, let alone here on this map, this go around. So let's
Get
head
out
off
of my
to
way.
round number 20. Lucky looking to make a find one, but very quickly will get put down by Toro.
I know
with the knives.
exactly where.
They're not dead yet. The biggest thing that they could do actually for that is put the door down and force them to have to be basically hunting just like this. That means LeBron James will stay alive. They will have to pick me up as well. Rolling the die, hitting them with a crit. LeBron
One
James
enemy
looking
remaining.
nasty with it. It's a 1 versus everybody, and everybody
Attackers
swarming.
win.
LeBron James came back to life in that round to be able to shut it down against Gretna.
13-7 here for Cedar Rapids Kennedy as they will advance into that semifinals. We've been talking about it in order to face off against Bishop Kelly. Funny enough, the incoming 1 versus 2 seeds will be squaring off in the semifinals here in the playoffs. So we've got our final 4 set here for our LOS Scholastic National Championship. Of course, part of the reason we're here, give a big shout out to League OS, which specializes in powering high school and collegiate esport leagues with competition management software that handles everything from signups to streaming. 10 state high school esports leagues around the country run on League OS, as do 20 separate collegiate esports conferences as well. That's over 600 colleges and more than 2,000 high schools with over 50,000 players. That's a lot of people doing some esports. And since League OS compiles lifetime stats, records, and trophies for each individual that plays on its platform, they have a unique ability to connect students and their stats with recruiters at the next level seeking promising talent. So make sure you're getting involved if you aren't already. Monkey Man, talk about a fun round of quarterfinals. We're getting ready for our last round of the evening here.
Oh my goodness, you and Llama are about to have one last reconvene as we go into those semis. The first couple of quarters, blowouts. These last couple, they're still a little bit lopsided, but we got some more action just the way that we like it. But now it's a collision course. Our top 4 for the LOS Nationals. I'm going to leave it to your boy Q and to Llama. It was great to be able to see you guys today. Make sure to check them out. Remember, semis are today. Grand finals are tomorrow morning. You don't want to miss any of that. We'll be taking a short break as we head that way right after this.